Hello and welcome to Treasury Notes, a financial education program from the West Virginia State Treasurer's Office. I'm your host, Gina Joins. As the bank of state government, the Treasurer's Office is responsible for keeping West Virginia's financial house in order. State Treasurer John Perdue knows it's also important for individuals like you to keep your personal finances on track. We know that the first step to a healthy financial home is the proper knowledge. That's why this office is dedicated to programs and other state organizations that offer financial education for people of all ages and all walks of life here in West Virginia. We'll talk about some of those programs today, including West Virginia's involvement in a nationwide financial education initiative called Money Smart Week. AARP West Virginia leads that program, and an AARP representative will join us later in the show to talk about some of the key events happening around the state this year. But first, we want to introduce you to an education-based program we have teamed up with to provide more financial education for our state's youth. Joining me now is Amelia Kortz. She is president and CEO of the Education Alliance, and I'm excited to have you here today, Amelia. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Gina.
Well, many people, they might not be familiar with the Education Alliance and what all you do, but you've been around for quite a while. Can you just talk a little bit about your organization and your core principles?
Sure. The Education Alliance is a statewide nonprofit organization, and we actually have been around for 35 years. So we have deep roots in West Virginia, and we were formed by a group of influential business leaders that really wanted to strengthen our public education system. Back in 1983, they formed the Education Alliance, and even today you can see that our board of directors still revolve around those core values of bringing business and community support to public education. Our board members are representative of almost every different type of business and industry in the state. Manufacturing, energy, healthcare, finance, and they're also representative of the different regions across the state. So we're very pleased to have such a wonderful board of directors that is committed to that very important goal of having an excellent public education system.
And that commitment has grown over the year. I think when you talk about overall purpose for the Education Alliance, how would you describe that in just a few words?
Well, our purpose is obviously to ensure that every West Virginia student graduates ready for college or career. And we strive to do that in a number of ways, but our particular piece of that goal is just bringing business and community support.
And you're a nonprofit, correct?
That's correct.
So how do you support these initiatives? How does that work?
Well, our organization focuses on three different types of opportunities to bring business support. First of all, at the individual student level, we try to connect students with role models and mentoring programs that help fill a need. A lot of our students may lack a positive adult role model, and so we connect business and community leaders that are willing to be those mentors. The second opportunity that we focus on is really providing schools with partnerships. The Partnerships in Education is one of our keystone programs, and it's this idea that schools don't operate in a vacuum and they need partners from their local businesses and communities to really enrich the services that they provide for students. And then the third area of our work is what we call our system level work, and that is trying to ensure that the statewide system of public education is a strong system and, again, improving the outcomes of our public education students.
So you work directly with business and community leaders. You also work directly with schools to provide them resources.
That's correct.
And then I guess you work with individual students as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. One of our programs that serves individual students is our AmeriCorps on the Frontline program. It is a dropout prevention program, and we currently have 35 AmeriCorps members across the state. And those mentors are identified by local communities as folks that are willing to volunteer their time, and it's really it's a serious commitment. They see students on average of about 25 hours a week, and they work with students on improving their attendance, making sure that they're coming to school on time and that they're not tardy and that they're there every day, because we know that you can't learn if you're not in school. They also work with students on their behavior. Some students may have discipline challenges and may not really have the skills to succeed in a classroom setting, so they work with them on improving those life skills so that they demonstrate excellent behavior in school, and again, so they can learn better. And then we also work on course performance. Some students need just a little bit of extra homework help, or maybe guiding them to have those good study habits, and that's an important area that our mentors help serve.
Sounds like you guys have a lot going on. And again, I'm here with Amelia Quartz. She's with the Education Alliance, and we're talking a little bit about the core functions that the Alliance has, but then I also want to get into the partnership with the Treasurer's Office and other state organizations to really hone in on financial literacy and financial education. And there's a new initiative out now. It's called Make Sense West Virginia. The Treasurer's Office is excited to be part of that initiative and all that's going to go along with it. Let's first talk about how this partnership started, and then we'll kind of get into Make Sense West Virginia and what that's all about.
Well, the partnership started about 2 years ago, as you know, and at the time, again, focusing on this goal of ensuring that kids are ready or can have successful access of higher education, post-secondary learning opportunities. We realize that for a lot of students, it's not just the academics, but obviously finances play a big role in whether they're successful in graduating from a 2-year or a 4-year institution. So we decided to try to tackle that idea of financial education, and we realized right away that we could not do it alone. The Higher Education Policy Commission reached out to us, and they had a grant opportunity to support really bringing folks together around this common goal. And then we reached out to the Treasurer's Office and really anyone and everyone that was already doing something in that space of financial education. We also work with the Bankers Association. Obviously, the West Virginia Department of Education is an important partner. I mentioned Higher Ed Policy Commission. So we gathered all of those folks together and decided the first thing that we wanted to do is learn about the initiatives that we all have going on, and then try to find a clearinghouse that would help be sort of like a one-stop shop for folks that had an interest in financial education. And that's when we launched in December, just a few months ago, our new website called Make Sense, CENTSWV.org.
And Make Sense WV is going to really be, as you said, I like that word, a clearinghouse for a lot of these financial education initiatives that are going on around the state, because there are a lot. At the Treasurer's Office, State Treasurer John Perdue launched the Get a Life program and the Net Worth program, and we talk about those initiatives on this show all the time. Also, the Treasurer's Office and many other state agencies have partnered with AARP, who we're going to speak with a representative later in the show to talk about Money Smart Week, which is a great event going on. Make Sense West Virginia is going to kind of bring all of that together, hopefully, and really disseminate some of that information and help relay it to people. So how do you envision it working? How do you envision it getting it out there into the community, and what resources will it really provide to people?
Well, really, when we think about financial education, there are 3 target audiences that we have for this website, for this clearinghouse. First, obviously, we want to touch students. As I mentioned, there are a lot of financial implications for students, and there are a lot of tools out there. You mentioned the Get a Life program. My daughter participated in that, and we want to make sure that students have a place that they can go to learn more about things like Get a Life. Also, the FAFSA The financial aid application for getting into college. You know, many of our West Virginia students qualify for financial aid but may not know how to access that. So that's been a huge part of this initiative, is helping students access the financial aid that they're already eligible for. So students are one target audience. Our second target audience are family members. You know, financial education can't happen in a vacuum. I heard in your introduction talking about having this education for the whole state of West Virginia. So we want not just our students, but our families to know about the resources that are available for them. And then the third target audience is our educators. Obviously, teachers have lots of opportunities to interact with students, but they also have a set curriculum. So what we're trying to do with educators, and again, each of those audiences, there's a special tab on the website. So there's a designated content and designated blog and designated resources for them. But the educators can go there and find things like lesson plans or activities that can help them do their part in providing financial education for their students.
And I think the blog is a great resource, as you said. Also, when we talk about makesensewv.org, we're talking about giving a resource to families, as you mentioned. And a lot of times we find with the Treasurer's Office, when we go out and talk to groups, money is a taboo subject very often in the home, behind closed doors. And it's something that families don't open up a lot about with their children. How do we change that perception, and how do we kind of get that out there that it's an okay subject to talk about and it's an important subject to talk about?
Absolutely. Well, I think one key strategy is sort of taking away the stigma about financial education by making it fun and interesting. And that's one thing that we've been striving to do by providing games, interactive games on the website that, again, students and families can do together to really engage them in learning about finances, and not just wait till they're ready to go off to college or get that first credit card, but starting at a very young age. There are some really fun, interesting tools and games on the website that families can sit down and have a fun evening and talk about a subject that might be a little bit intimidating otherwise.
And we really hope people will see the show and go to the website. Again, it's makesensewv.org. We also want to talk a little bit about the schools you work with. I know that the Alliance strives to reach as many students as possible around the state, and you're going to be taking this tool to schools and talking about the resources that are out there for these students.
That's right. Right now we have a group of schools, again partnering with the Higher Education Policy Commission, a group of schools that are participating in the Gear Up grant, and all of those schools have volunteered to implement and try at least one lesson plan with their students. So we're testing it out and piloting it this semester, and hopefully going to get some good feedback. But again, that's a great group of schools that have volunteered to participate and take the first step in moving this financial education issue forward.
And I know Gear Up has some great students who are really poster students for this type of cause, because they talk about, you've heard, I guess, a lot of firsthand accounts and testimonials about the benefits of financial literacy in the school.
That's right. We have students learn everything from, you know, how to make wise choices with their spare cash, junk food versus saving or packing their lunch, those kinds of things. Again, trying to really make it on a level that students can relate to. And we do have some wonderful success stories of students that testify from their own perspective of the difference that being money smart, quote unquote, has made in their own lives.
So is there a way to gauge the success of these efforts, and is that something the Alliance is working on?
Absolutely. All of our programs, we try to have either a third-party evaluator or some sort of data collection mechanism to measure the progress and measure the impact. And that's why this first year with makesensewv.org is so critical to get more people using the site and get their feedback. We do have an online survey that folks can take to provide feedback, and also obviously we're listening to the educators that are piloting those toolkits, and hopefully you know, we intend to strengthen it and really double down this next year and add more resources and make it more robust based on the feedback that we get.
So that's the best way people can get involved. Just again reiterate, how can people get involved and what's the best way they can take advantage of what the Education Alliance is really providing with this?
Well, obviously visit the website, but also even beyond that, I would say, if you visit our website, educationalliance.org, we have contact information, and we would welcome a phone call, an email, any personal contact. If you're not comfortable, calling, then just shoot us an email and say, I live in this county and I would like to be involved, and we can help connect individuals that are interested in volunteering, mentoring, or supporting, particularly around this issue of financial education, and connect them with schools and opportunities that they can get involved.
A great network of resources. All right, Amelia Quartz, President and CEO of the Education Alliance, thank you so much for joining us here today. Appreciate talking with you, and I'm hoping we'll have another interview in the near future following up on some of the statistics as to how well this is all working.
Thank you for having me, Gina. It's my pleasure.
Thanks, Amelia. Well, we're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, we're going to talk about another financial education initiative that's going to be available in your town. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Babies are expensive. Formula, diapers, daycare. That's just the first year. Oh, wish you could start saving for college now? The Piggy Bank Fairy is granting wishes of college savings to new parents by contributing $100 when you open a Smart 529 account.
Enroll in West Virginia's Smart 529 Bright Babies program before your child's first birthday or Gotcha Day, and we'll contribute $100 into your Smart 529 college savings account.
Wishes do come true. Register in the first year, so when they sit up, it's time to sign up.
To learn about Smart 529, its investment objectives, risks, and costs, read the official statement available from smart529.com. Check with your home state to learn if it offers tax or other benefits for investing in its own 529 plan.
Welcome back to Treasury Notes. I'm your host, Gina Joins. Each year, states across the nation take a week in April to highlight the need and importance of financial education. West Virginia is part of this national initiative called Money Smart Week. AARP West Virginia leads the program in our state. And joining me now to talk more about this initiative is Linda Bunn with AARP, and we're excited to have you here to talk more about this initiative and everything that Money Smart Week has to offer. Thank you so much, Linda, for joining us today.
Thank you, Gina. I'm delighted to be here to talk about Money Smart Week.
And let's start by saying when Money Smart Week is, of course. It takes place April 22nd through the 29th, correct, of this year. And let's just talk a little bit about Money Smart Week, what it is, how it came about, and AARP's involvement.
Sure. Well, Money Smart Week started in Chicago, believe it or not, many years ago, and a group of Chicago businesses came together and said, let's teach folks in Chicago about financial literacy. Let's tell them what programs and services are around to be availed of, and just highlight financial literacy. And what happened was the Chicago Fed said, what a great idea. And so they were the convener, and they got the folks together, and then they had 6 straight days of financial literacy events. They had speakers, they had contests, they had all sorts of presentations, all with the effect of increasing financial literacy throughout Chicago. And it really caught fire. And it went much further than Chicago or Illinois. It's now in all 50 states a little bit, and really concentrated in 15 states, of which West Virginia is one.
And we really do have a concentrated effort here. And I think that is in large part thanks to all of AARP's efforts. And I really want to commend the organization, because your organization has really garnered everybody together, all the players in the state treasurer's office, and many other state agencies that are participating in this event, to centralize the efforts and to bring this initiative to people all over the state and make sure there's plenty going on during this week, correct?
Thank you. Yeah. Well, AARP West Virginia and the AARP Foundation, we're the founding partners of Money Smart Week in West Virginia. But we live in a wonderful state, and there are just dozens, now over 40, of organizations and agencies and entities that have come together to make sure that Money Smart Week reaches all the different parts of the state and all the different population groups, young or old. So it's a wonderful time, and you know, AARP has over 300,000 members in West Virginia. Financial literacy is crucial to them, and so being able to be a catalyst convener for Money Smart Week is a great service to our members.
So I have to say this because it always comes up, as I'm sure you hear it a lot, when you're talking about initiatives from AARP. We're not talking about it being geared simply towards seniors. This is an effort for all ages, and this is an initiative for all ages to have some financial literacy availability around the state, and that's what this week is going to be all about.
Exactly. So when I talk about the partners, we have over 40 partners. Now, AARP might be geared towards folks in our membership, but the Education Alliance, who was just here speaking with you, it is geared to a different demographic. The Treasurer, the Auditor, the Secretary of State, the West Virginia Bankers Association, veterans, all of these groups speak to a different group, but makes the tent bigger. So that allows us to speak to each of these different groups about different things that would be important to them, because financial literacy is a huge topic, and it really does reach everybody in West Virginia. The important thing is to find something that fits what you need.
So every audience will have a space during this week. Again, April 22nd to the 29th is Money Smart Week here in West Virginia, and we're talking about free events to the public. Let's talk about some of these events and what we're going to see available during this week.
Sure, and every event is free.
That's important.
It's
yeah.
really important, and that is one of the foundations of Money Smart Week, is that all of the Money Smart Week events are safe spaces. You don't have to worry about somebody pressuring you to buy something that you don't need or trying to convince you that you need something that you don't. It is all designed to help financial literacy, not to get you deeper in debt. So that's one of the founding things. So free is important. So the treasurer is having several events, Get a Life events during that week. AARP is having an Operation Scam Jam and a Shred-a-thon, and we're also having a teletown hall with an expert about financial exploitation. And the West Virginia Bankers, that's Teach Children to Save Week day falls within Money Smart Week.
Great.
So there's events there. There'll be veterans events. There'll be lots of events. We are still a little bit out from Money Smart Week, but as the week gets closer, more and more events are announced. So it's really important that folks either follow us on Twitter or on Facebook, and that would be WVMSW, so West Virginia Money Smart Week. That's the Facebook page, or the Twitter handle is at WVMSW, or they can go to www.moneysmartweek.org and look at the nationwide calendar, put in West Virginia, and then you'll see the events that are around
But
you.
here in West Virginia, I think social media is a great place to start
Absolutely.
if you're looking for information about Money Smart Week. As Linda said, events are still being scheduled.
Absolutely.
So we're going to see new things popping up as the months go on, and you know, we're getting close, but new things will be scheduled, and there will be a lot of opportunities for people. The Scam Jam, Operation Scam Jam, that's hosted by AARP, and that's your big event, kind of the keystone event, if you will, of the conference. Let's talk a little bit about AARP's involvement in that and what all you will be offering with the Scam Jam.
Sure. Operation Scam Jam this year is going to be in Charleston. We've done them in Martinsburg and Wheeling and Parkersburg and Morgantown and Logan. And so we've tried to move them around the state. This year we're in Charleston. Charleston, and it is basically an all-day consumer university kind of an event where we have nationally known speakers come in. There'll be a panel of bankers from the Charleston community, so that the folks, there'll be 200, 250 folks there. They'll be able to interact with that panel and ask them questions about people who know their area. And one of the highlights of the event, of course, is our constitutional officers panel. And that's something that we're very proud of, and we believe that the treasurer will be there. We've done this for 4 years. This will be the 5th year, and we have the Attorney General, the Secretary of State, the Auditor, and the Treasurer sit on a panel and talk about what it is that they do, because they all have offices that give wonderful programs that are available to folks in West Virginia. And so we want, what's better than to be able to talk to those officers and interact with them and ask them questions about those wonderful services. So it's a unique opportunity. My understanding is it's the only time that group of 4 sits with an interactive panel.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. The fact that there's a Q&A is really something special for people to have that opportunity in the state to have one-on-one connection with their constitutional officers and get to ask them some questions that are pertaining to financial literacy.
It is a unique opportunity.
Yeah, it's a great experience. I gotta say this, I know, there are a lot of great events that go on during Money Smart Week, but the shredding events, people can't get enough of those shredding events. They're fantastic, and people take advantage of them.
They're really wonderful. And this year we're having it at the Cabela's in Charleston, and that'll be on Saturday the 29th. And that's the very last day of Money Smart Week. And we usually have at least 500 cars that come, and people bring all sorts of things that they can safely shred. And AARP hires 2 shredding trucks, so you can see the stuff shredded right in front of you. And the beauty of it is it's recycled. So it'll be turned into toilet paper and things like that within 30 days. So that's an interesting thing. It happens right after tax day, so people are often amused that they can bring those things and they'll be recycled in that way. We also have Bluegrass eCycle, who is a partner with Money Smart Week, who will be recycling electronics, which is handy because you can't just throw these things away. Number one, they have metals in them that really can't go into landfills, and number two, you can never be sure that the information can't be taken off your hard drives. So this is a safe way to dispose of electronics and paper products.
Yes, in this day and age, we're not just talking about paper anymore. It's about safety with shredding your documents, but also safety online as well, and safety on your hard drives and your personal computers.
Exactly right. And AARP, the AARP Fraud Watch Network is the part of AARP that sponsors the shred event here in Charleston. And that's a unique opportunity for people to join a network so that we can fight against fraud together. And that they try and take advantage of us by getting together and stealing our information and using that in a bad way and selling it on the internet. So we can get together and fight against fraud, and that's what the Fraud Watch Network is about. And anybody who's interested in that can go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
All right, well, we're almost out of time, Linda, but I do want to thank you for sitting down with us. And just again, before we go, let's tell people where they can go to get more information on AARP, Money Smart Week, and everything we talked about today.
Absolutely. The very best way is on social media. You can go to our Facebook page, and that is WVMSW, West Virginia Money Smart Week. And for Twitter, it's at WVMSW. And you can also see a calendar of events on the National Money Smart Week page, which is www.moneysmartweek.org.
All right, thank you so much, Linda Bunn with AARP. We appreciate you joining us here today.
Thank you.
And that's all the time we have. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always get the latest news and information from the State Treasurer's Office. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and our website. We'll have more information there. Keeping you informed on the Library Television Network, I'm Gina Joins with the West Virginia State Treasurer's Office.